YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with another reaction video to the NFL Top 100 Players of 2020 list. This is the third video I've done. We're on to 40 through 11. What we do here is compare their rankings, voted by the players, to my rankings. Very important. My rankings were made at the very end of the 2019 season, and they're based on the 2019 season alone. So my rankings aren't all the years built up. They're not for this year. It was a top 100 list that I made at the end of last season. So we get to compare here, and the final episode will be tonight, and then we'll make the video tomorrow looking at their top 10, and then we'll do a snubs video where I talk about guys that I ranked that they did not rank. So should be a lot of fun there. Hopefully you can join us for that. We have full NFL coverage in season, so please subscribe. Help us reach that 60K goal by week 1. Cannot wait for the season to start. Best time of the year. And then follow that Twitter. Constant NFL talk on there. You're going to want to follow that, and then check out our podcast. There's a link down below in the description in the comments for anything that you may need there on the screen. So taking a look at 40 down to 31 first, they ranked Danielle Hunter at number 40. Based off that one season, 2019, I ranked him at 16. I thought he had a very dominant year and was a game changer for the Vikings throughout the entire year. So I ranked him at 16. Thought he was one of the better pass rushers in all of football last year. Yeah, they got him at 40. So I think they're a little low. Players are a little low on him, but he's still kind of making his way up the board here every year, it feels like. Tyrann Mathieu, they ranked at 39. I ranked at number 21, so I was a little higher on Mathieu. It's tough. It's a tough one to rank, Honey Badger, that is, because you just think about safety. If you're just thinking about in terms of safety, yeah, maybe there's some more guys that actually will play a line more as a safety. Mathieu does about all of it. You'll line up at slot corner, and you see the impact he made for the Chiefs. Them adding him in just 1 year, he's that much of an impact as a leader and as a playmaker on the field. And that resulted, obviously, in success for the Chiefs. So the defense took that next step. Every step of the way, it felt like they were better, and he was kind of the captain of that secondary. So I just call him a football player because I think he's more than a safety, and I think he should have been better ranked than 39, but we're not too far off there. 10 spots higher, I had Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin had a dominant year, absolute dominant year. Played some slot, played outside, and pretty much did everything. And I'm just so impressed with the improvement because he just looked like a whole different player. And we knew he was a young, solid receiver with some potential, but really took that next step under Bruce Arians. Now he's got Tom Brady, another year with Bruce Arians as the coach. So I think only up from here. So very excited to watch him. Jalen Ramsey I didn't rank. I think he will play like the best cornerback in football this upcoming year. I think contract year, he's out to prove himself. He's kind of settled into the Rams, even though it's a contract year. But obviously they're not agreeing to terms. I'm sure they've talked about a contract extension. So he's about to go ball out. But last year, we've seen him miss some time a little bit. I guess there's always some shenanigans with him, I guess. So I didn't rank him. I always talk about 100 players. When you actually sit down and try to rank it based off one season, 100 feels like a small number, even though it sounds like a big number. But they ranked him at 37. Talent-wise, going forward, for sure, probably better than 37. Nick Chubb, they ranked 36. I ranked at 56. That's 20 spots off, but a very good season, very impressive season there for Chubb, in the Browns running attack there. So, I guess it's just, it gets down to that point, how much you value in some of these running backs. It's tough to rank because, I didn't have as many running backs in there or even towards the top, but I did have, obviously the ones that are still left, with Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, I had it towards the top as well. Minka Fitzpatrick, they ranked 35. I ranked 61. Steelers trade for him. He made a big impact with that very solid defense there, making the plays. Being a big-time playmaker, getting the turnovers. I definitely want to see more from Fitzpatrick. I think everyone's getting a little too hyped. I mean, it's definitely a guy to get hyped about because I still view him as kind of a prospect, and he's a very good prospect out of Alabama. So he's still got potential, and he's going to continue to be very solid. I just want to see him kind of continue to do that and see if he's kind of settled into a role there because he really wasn't in Miami. But, yeah, obviously made the list for me and at number 35 on the NFL Network list. Joey Bosa, they had at 34. I had at 48. Not too much of a difference. And then Joey Bosa gets that crazy contract last night, so that was interesting as well. But, Yeah, Joey Bosa, my problem, not really a problem, obviously a really good player, but you see when Melvin Ingram's on the field and Melvin Ingram's off the field, he's much better with the help of Ingram. So, there's some games where he kind of disappears. I wish if I'm splitting hairs here, if I want him to get, for me to rank him inside that top 30 or 34, whatever it may be, even though I'm not too far off, I kind of want to be, I don't want him to disappear ever, really. Aaron Jones, only 10 spots off. I thought Aaron Jones had a pretty dominant year, especially, finding the end zone there and the explosive runs. I felt like Aaron Jones kind of carried that offense a little bit of the Packers, which is surprising. I thought the defense was a big reason they got to where they got to, but looking at the offense, obviously Aaron Rodgers was an impact. Devontae Adams, when they came back from the injury, impact. But I thought Aaron Jones, it felt like at times, was really carrying that offense. Shaq Barrett, 32 for them. I ranked him at 11. Again, my list was based on the season, one season alone. I make my top 100 right when the season ends every single year, so it's based on that one season. And Shaq Barrett had a dominant year. Not just in the 19.5 sacks department, but I thought he was a playmaker as well. I thought when he was able to drop back and kind of get in the quarterback's heads, too. Is this guy coming? Is he coming after me? What's he doing here? Is he going to jump the snap? So I thought he had a big time year. The first year, starting full time, and that's what he's able to do. You definitely want to see him. You want to see more. Very confident about him, though. Saquon Barkley, who I ranked as my number one running back for this upcoming year. So basically, I'm predicting him to be the best running back in football. It's kind of that time. But I didn't rank him because I didn't go crazy with the running backs. Only chose a handful of running backs. The NFL Network list went pretty crazy with the not just running backs, but quarterbacks, receivers. And I don't know if he really did enough. He did miss some games. There's a lot of guys kind of knocking on the door, so close for me to put in the top 100, which in my opinion is a small list when we're talking about all the football players, all the good football players. And then missing some games could be that difference to keep some guys in, keep him out. But I expect him way up the list after this season. By the time I do the 2020 top 100 that I do at the end of every season, I think he'll be up the list. Next, Mike Evans, they ranked him at 30. I had him at 49, so not too far off there. I thought Chris Godwin was the better Bucs receiver last year. Is he the better Bucs receiver in general? It's a great question, actually, but Mike Evans maybe more talent all around, and still, known as their number one for sure. My rankings based off just last year, I had Godwin ranked a little better. Quentin Nelson in the ballpark there, 29. I ranked him 25. Best guard in football. Almost felt like he was the second he came in the league. Richard Sherman, 28 and 39. Yeah, pretty similar there. Sherman had an outstanding season, better than expected. I do think the front seven kind of makes the job a little easier for the 49ers secondary, but not to take anything away from them. Very talented year there. Very talented corner. Jamal Adams, they ranked 27. I ranked 46. Yeah, was an impact player. Game changer for the Jets, now with the Seahawks, of course. I think he'll keep climbing the list. I don't know if he's really played to 27 overall yet, in my opinion, but we all know he's going to be there and probably better, especially now with a better maybe supporting cast around him with Seattle Seahawks. So I expect him to be better. Von Miller, they ranked 26. I actually did not rank. People are going to get mad at me for this, but my rankings are based on that one season, and he was definitely a borderline guy. I thought, his production, looking at the stats, wasn't really there. But he got a lot of pressure, and he was kind of on his own. Bradley Chubb was out, so he kind of was on his own. But he was kind of borderline for me. And, I make a bunch of rough drafts. I come up with way more than 100 people at first, and it felt like I was kind of leaning him in just because he's Von Miller, just because the name. And I don't want to do that. Every single season there's going to be standout guys that don't get the credit. I'm trying to give those guys credit. So Von Miller did not squeeze in. If I made this list, it's just the 100 best players in football. Doesn't matter what year, just in general. Von Miller is probably better ranked at 26. So, again, I can't stress that enough. People that skim through the videos will get mad at me. We're going to have to ignore those people because I mentioned it so many times how this works here. But Von Miller, 26. I think, depending on what the NFL Network list is, I think some guys were voting based on their experience last year. Then you hear some guys in the interviews, they're basing it off of who they played with years ago or what they saw years ago. So that does make it pretty tough. TJ Watt, 25 for them, 9 for me. I thought he had a dominant year. I thought he was the biggest reason the Steelers' defense was that good. I mean, there's multiple reasons, but I thought TJ Watt was the big one. I think just a game changer, him able to drop back and make plays as well. I think if we're talking in general, yeah, I'd probably put him around 25 if we're talking in general. But based on last year, I thought he was, right around a top 10 player. So we'll see if he can do that again. It was a crazy year for him. I don't really see why not. Zeke, I didn't rank. He was ranked at 24. Much like receivers for me, there's a bunch of those running backs that were just kind of in the same area. They ran for a lot of yards. Were they that much of a game changer compared to some of these defensive guys that this list is leaving out? So I don't know. There was nothing really that, there wasn't enough, I guess, for me to put him in the list. Obviously, he's a borderline guy. Obviously, he's a top-tier running back, but I did not have him ranked. In general, yeah, sure. Definitely can rank him. Maybe people are a little high. I feel like he's not as good as he was a few years ago. I don't know. But definitely a very solid running back. He's going to get the production, but I just don't know if he wowed me enough to get in the list. That's probably what it was. Cameron Jordan, they ranked 23. I ranked 36, not too far off there. I talked about Demario Davis last episode. I had Demario Davis as the highest-ranked Saints defender. I thought he was. I actually thought he was their best player. Cameron Jordan racked up the sacks, and he did have to carry a bit because Davenport got hurt again. Rankins in the interior got hurt, so it's pretty close. But yeah, I think we're somewhat similar there. 23-36. When you start getting down here, it's not too far off. Tyreek Hill, 22, which I think is a pretty darn good rank when we're talking in general, just the best players in football, regardless of what year we're talking about. I ranked him at 69. We've seen him miss a little bit of time early. And wasn't super productive, but based on his impact, down the stretch, yeah, then we can start talking about it way higher than 69. But that's where I ranked him based off the full year last year. Dalvin Cook at 21, and then I ranked him at 33. I think sitting out, having those injuries kind of pushed him back from that 21 to that 33 for me. If he kept going the way he was going the first half of the season last year, he probably would have been a top 10 guy. But you see him start to wear down. You see the injuries. You see the offensive line not play as good. So hopefully he can stay healthy. It sounds like he's reporting to camp. But yeah, not too far off there either. 21-33. It's actually surprised him 21 since he's had the injuries. But the players know how talented he is, I suppose. Next group of guys here, and this is where, a couple guys that I might get ripped for not having them ranked. But again, based on one season, Deshaun Watson, they ranked at 20. I ranked at 37. 17 spots off. Not too bad there. I think Deshaun Watson around 20 going forward for sure. Khalil Mack, they ranked at 19. I ranked at 38. It's an interesting one because they ranked at 19. Is that a mixture of based off last year and a mixture of just in general? My rank was based off last year. I thought he was a little quiet, but he did have to do a lot of carrying. He did get doubled a lot. So that's what put him at 38. But in general, like if I were to rank the top 100 players today, right now, you'd easily be in the top 5. I think Khalil Mack might still be the best defensive player in football. But just for last year, I had 38. Travis Kelce, they had 18. I had 12. The impact he makes all year, I think you take Travis Kelce away. Patrick Mahomes probably still doing his thing, but it's so much easier for teams to game plan for them without Kelce being there. They can full focus on the speedy receivers, and they can't do that because how dominant he is around middle of the field, the open field, and in the red zone as well. So I had him at number 12. Nick Bosa, so close here, so close. They had him at 17. I had him at 18, so one spot off. The impact was ridiculous. He didn't have crazy production for a rookie. Yeah, he did. But I thought he was just the game, the impact, in the right moments, this huge third down, this huge fourth down. It's Nick Bosa. Who else but Nick Bosa? Even early in games to kind of set the tone, at the right moment. I think that's right in the beginning is where you can kind of just, you have to play keep up, or you look at the bright, the tight games, the bright moments he had at the third, fourth downs, like I was talking about. So he showed up in all those moments to kind of change the game, and that's why he was a top 20 player. Aaron Rodgers at 16. I didn't have him ranked. I only chose for my top 100 based off of the 2019 season. I only chose a handful of quarterbacks. There was a ton of quarterbacks on here that I did not rank. I only chose a handful. And Rodgers, to me, he's very good still. And if we're talking in general, yes, he's around 16, probably. But he didn't have that great of a year. I thought he still made those big plays. He threw speaking of throwing the ball away, Rodgers and Brady, who I didn't have ranked, they threw the ball away way too much for my liking. Way too much. I know they didn't have receiver help. You can give him a pass for that, but you can't really boost him up in terms of that season alone ranks. I'm not going to give him bonus points for that. So I think that's where people are going wrong based on that one season. there was times where you got to give your team a shot. And both these guys, Rodgers, Brady, I know they had receiver struggles, but just throwing the ball away way too much for my liking. I almost rather have, obviously don't want a turnover, but there's times where you would almost risk it, But so I didn't like that. If again for the Packers, it felt like the defense, both teams, Packers and the Patriots, for Rodgers, Brady, felt like the defense has kind of carried those teams this year. Aaron Jones in the running game kind of brought up the Packers. Rodgers still played good. He got to the NFC Championship game. There just wasn't enough there for me to rank them. I'm not giving extra bonus points to quarterbacks. I only ranked a handful of quarterbacks that really, really stood out. Chandler Jones, they ranked at 15. I ranked at 24. So obviously in the ballpark there. Another monster year. It pretty much had to be. It had to run through him, that Cardinals defense, but I like the way that they really improved this offseason, so I can't wait to see how that works now that maybe doesn't have to carry the load. We talked about Brady. Definitely a down year from Brady last year. Threw the ball away way too much. Receivers definitely didn't help him, but I think a big-time up year for both Rodgers and Brady. I think Rodgers plays better. I think Brady plays a lot better this year. Under Arians with that, supporting cast that he has there. And he's got something to prove. Brady's always got that. Bobby Wagner, they ranked at 13. I ranked at 58. Another really productive year. I thought he's had better years. I've ranked him as the best defensive player in football, I think, several times in the past. I had a first-round grade out of him pre-draft, so I'm a big Bobby Wagner guy. I just kind of thought he was in the middle of that rank, top 100, which is very good this year. But if we're going to talk in general, or if we're talking about their careers, definitely towards 13 makes a lot of sense. Drew Brees was ranked at 12. I ranked him at 30. Maybe you wish a little more productive, to get him in that, around that 10 range. But it's not really a surprise at all there. Another fantastic year. Just doesn't look like he's really aging. Kind of the same with the Brady, Rodgers effect, Breeze are all in the same area. So we'll see how he does this year. But, I had him around 30 there. They had him around 12. At 12. Julio Jones, they had him at 11. I had him at 44. It's a tough one, too. I know, freakish dude. I just think he's got better in him. I think he's got more in him. I think Matt Ryan was a little off at times last year. There's times where Julio kind of goes quiet, and then there's times where he has one of those crazy games. It's just tough ranking him. I just thought there were 43 other outstanding players. I think for the most part, people go like, how do you not have this guy ranked? How is this guy not higher? But if you tally up what you're thinking and who you think, should be where, you have well over 100 players, and that's what people don't realize. So, and again, mine was based off the one season, but it's very tough making the top 100. But I don't think it's that tough when it's fresh off the year. I do at the end of the year. And it's just what I just watched. I watch a ton of football. What I just watched, who were the 100 best players, and try to rank them. And that's what I got. We had all kinds of rankings. If you don't want to see my 2019 rank, you don't really care. You're ready for this season. That's kind of more how I like it as well. I have a bunch of position and unit rankings on the channel right now, and that's basically for this upcoming season, predictions for this upcoming season, so you can check that out. Excited to see the top 10 from NFL Network tonight. We know who the 10 players are. If you want to comment with your predictions, you can comment with your predictions and who you think it should be, in the order. So it'll be pretty cool. So then we'll react to that tomorrow, and then which is the 30th, and then we will talk about snubs, guys that made my list and where they were ranked, and maybe why they didn't make the NFL Network list. So a lot of interesting things still to come. A lot of news coming out in the NFL. More rankings, more predictions on the way. Full coverage in season. Hopefully you can subscribe, smash that like button, turn notifications on. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.